Hello, everybody. This is Peace Love here with Brother One. We have Ed Norris and Isaac Schwab from TrustlessTeam, Validator, and we're doing a Spotlight Series video. Like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you one of you guys want to start out with a brief overview over your Validator?
Yeah. So we've been running our validator for about 2 months now. Since I think it was Epoch 890 or something. We currently, I don't know how much to go into, but we're at 155 delegators right now. 4.7 million staked. And 1% fee currently. It's been a great thing to be involved with. A lot of what we've done with it, and just the support of the community, of the validator community, and like just feeling like we're part of making the network run has been great.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good to hear, guys. And this is Brother One speaking. Can you also introduce your partner?
Yeah, Isaac Schwab, why don't you take it?
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Isaac. I've been a full stack developer for like 6 years, and kind of as part of our project that we've been working on, and like Ed said, we want to help support the network. So it's kind of the initiative for kicking off the validator. I typically like doing whatever type of development, whether it be systems, front end, back end, just anything along those lines. And it's just been really enjoyable building on the Harmony ecosystem and interacting with the community these past couple of months. And look forward to kind of building out cool features, especially with the smart contract staking now, to just make it easier for the Harmony ecosystem and community to stake, whether it be directly through like a website, a game. And I think it's going to help a lot of people, get one stake in the network with a variety of validators. So happy to work with the validators as well as the rest of the Harmony community to kind of build out awesome tools and features.
Yeah, and I can just say too about my background is in game development, and I came to Harmony. This has been the beginning of 2020, looking for a good chain to build games on. Ultimately, once we started building our game, once TrustlessTeam was formed, and I had been staking and kind of just seeing the experience, and from talking to the people, it felt like a lot of people that are staking, they want the returns, but they don't necessarily know who to stake with. They don't necessarily get the risks or understand where, or it's a lot of just name recognition. And so what I wanted to do was, if we're going to be building on Harmony, definitely put in the time to have our validator running so that, people have one more name that they can trust. And that was the goal, is just knowing that people are searching for a trustworthy source to validate with. That if they know they can trust our games, then hopefully they'll know they can trust our validator, and just sort of helps the network and us ultimately.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know we had a few validators come on with their game and stuff like that, but it's kind of sounds like you're going to be fleshing out multiple games. Is this kind of like a metaverse style or something?
Yeah, just on that front, we have discussed creating a kind of marketplace of sorts, or like a social space of sorts, but basically we want, right now we're just focused on FishFight and wanting to make it kind of prove the model around making a game that's interactive and that is able to work for the community that plays it long term. Because I think we basically realized that we're a small team and we need to try to zero in and then build out. But definitely excited about like what we're gonna do next. And we have a few things in the development phase of like figuring that out. But definitely the validator will be involved, and but it's not we're not currently trying to like make a big like metaverse play yet. Like for instance, like Fishfight is intended to be more like chess in the way that you play it. It's a very like you go there, you play it. It's a standalone like closed off sense. Or like it's not supposed to take over your life in a way. It's more like a thing you go and do real quick and kind of check in every once in a while. Yeah, casual.
All right, awesome guys. That sounds actually a lot of fun. Something to just kill some time with. So like, how did you guys pick your validator name?
Yeah, so we formed, Isaac and I met from a hackathon on Harmony. And initially I came into the hackathon thinking that, I wasn't really wanting to jump in and take on a game project. And so initially we were discussing building a way to basically like distribute payment through minting and like just some kind of like more protocol level enhancement for Harmony. And I don't remember why, but we initially landed on like a trustless like enterprise tool of sorts. And then like a day into the hackathon, Peter Abilia, I think is his name, one of the marketing directors or like operational directors at Harmony, reached out directly and was like, hey, I noticed that you have a game development background. Why don't you guys make a game for the hackathon and not this thing that you presented? And so I kind of, it just seemed like obvious that we should have done that to begin with, but I pitched it to Isaac and another developer that was with us at the time. And because we had already formed a team around this like trustless utility, the idea of a trustless team just it sounded really nice, and it kind of conveys what we're about. And then for the fish fight part of it, that just kind of for me, the hardest thing about crypto projects is remembering names. Like there's so many names. I find myself like trying to check my MetaMask and like sitting on the page where I'm supposed to type in the address and like it's like calm. What is the word? And then so it like takes me a while sometimes to remember the names of projects. And so Fish Fight was about as rudimentary as it can be, where we say what the game's about. You're fighting fish, and that's pretty much it. How do you get the fish? You catch them. Okay, so that's pretty much all you're doing. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. I think that answers the question.
Yeah, no, that's good. Go ahead, Rob.
I was saying, what made you want to become a validator for Harmony blockchain specifically?
Yeah, so I ran a validator briefly on Cardano, and so I was a little bit familiar with the process and like how it functions. And so I knew what was wrong with some of the ways that they encourage smaller validators on Cardano. Like it doesn't really work as well as it does on Harmony, in my opinion. And so that was a part of the reasons that I actually like leaned into Harmony a little bit, was the way that effective proof of stake seems to work and also the community at large is a lot more activated for people who show up.
Community is great. I think that's like one of the key things. The Harmony community is one of the best out there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And yeah, like I said, the way that the staking works is really really conducive to starting a validator, and at least still currently. You know, definitely requires a good amount of you know, savings in some sense to try to work with, and getting a lot of community, like knocking on doors kind of a thing. But that's, I think, with any proof of stake situation. And since we're already, you know, planning to knock on doors with our own project, it just seemed like the right thing to be doing. I honestly, to that point, like, I was marketing our game before we started the validator. And when you're working, if you're working on a project on Harmony or really any proof of stake chain, I would definitely recommend considering a validator, even if it's like right now, we're spending a lot on our servers still, but it's like a longer term strategy, and then getting off of DigitalOcean. But if anyone's working on a project on Harmony or on any proof of stake, I feel like putting the time in to help run a validator is just like the right thing to do for the network, and also
for the network you're building on, right?
Yeah, for yourself. And because really, once we started marketing the project and the validator in some kind of like back and forth, like it made it easier to keep up the pace of marketing and remember that you need to do, like, you know, at least weekly updates or something along those lines. And so, yeah, I would recommend any project that is building, consider, you know, helping keep the network alive. And yeah.
It's also like a unique way to incentivize your stakers with your validator through like the game and stuff. You can do rewards and special things like that, so it kind of ties in that regard as well.
Yeah, and a part of what our game will have is there will be a FishFight DAO, for instance, and that will be controlling and overseeing a treasury that the game raises, essentially. And so yeah, it basically, like, when we're not using those funds to run tournaments or really like keep the ecosystem thriving, we can hold them in a staking protocol and just help our own validator kick butt.
Yeah, no, definitely. So you guys kind of answered this question, but it's going to be a little bit more specific.
Yeah.
In what areas do you see yourselves helping the validator community, which essentially is the Harmony community?
I think the big one that we want to do is we're building out some of the smart contract staking, whether it just be like a quick to deploy smart contract that anyone can kind of hook into and redeploy specifically for their validator, but using that to potentially like track and gauge ways to reward your stakers separate from just the staking portal. So I think kind of building that framework or some set of tooling around that any of the Harmony community can hook into would be like a cool way that we help the community and just validators in general. So I think that's one of the big ones.
Yeah, and also, you know, like being a kind of example of what can be done for other projects. Like if there are other game projects, like getting Mars Colony to start up a validator, or like kind of proving that you can do that, you should do that, and really like keeping it going. Like we've been just floored and amazed by all the, not just like support for our actual validator, like staking, which has been amazing, but actually like community members in the validator community just being the most supportive, and not just like we think it's a good, like, go do it, you know, like casual conversational support, but like Hank the Crank, for instance, has reached out on a few occasions and just like, hey, how's it going? And like tried to make sure that I heard I saw you were asking questions, and like being a really good mentor and like helping answer and make sense of what wasn't going right at one point. And Rob, you've done the same, just like reaching out and like, hey, it looks like your validator is not signing. Can you, what's going on? Just so you know. And early on, like the first couple of epochs, it's like we had basically our DigitalOcean didn't have enough aware like we thought it did, because it was working, but basically we'd have to restart the server every new epoch. And but yeah, just having that level of like making it be possible, I think that's what we want to try to actually bounce back into the developer community, is, you know, just going through and discussing and outlining, like taking things from possible to feasible, like showing that like everybody knows you can run a validator, but actually just like telling them the 12 or so steps it takes to actually do it, and what it involves on a regular basis, and how you can incorporate it into your business and your development projects.
Yeah,
I think that's what I'm most excited about.
Just a lot of fun tie-ins you can do if you run a validator and have a project of some things, because like we talk about like tournaments for fish fights, and like we could do different styles of tournaments. So one specific for people that are stake with your validator, different things like that. Just different avenues of how people can think of building the community around their validator as well, because I think that's a tough part of a lot of people starting a validator, is kind of getting that support in that community around it. So like you said, Ed, we can kind of try to come up with some cool examples there.
Thank you. That's great answer, and definitely another question that's not the easiest one to answer, but in any way, do you see yourselves different from other validators? And I mean, I know you have your fish fight game, so it's you are kind of, you got that there, but in what other ways do you see yourself different from other validators?
I mean, that's a good question. I definitely see we it feels like we have a little bit of like easy mode with our validator in the future. Like right now it's good. Like the amount of support we've had has just been unbelievable. I thought it'd have a lot longer before we got any kind of support. I think ETH Denver helped with that, but yeah, I think what separates us largely is like a developer focus, and really like if someone decides to support our validator, you know, they are in some ways helping to build games on Harmony, and so that's definitely like a part of our agenda, is, you know, if you're looking to stake with someone and you want there to be games on Harmony, that we are an option for that. We allow for, you know, people to use something like validating or staking to actually change the way the network is invested in. And we've even discussed, like right now, the way it's outlined in our validator, the rate changes that we can apply are voted on by the FishFight DAO. And so the goal was actually to say that if we wanted to like actually raise funds, then the DAO could vote to raise the commission rate that we have, and essentially reward our delegates more in fish food, similar to the way that OpenSwap has done their validator, where if someone wants to support the game directly, we can either spin up another validator or change the commission rate and apply the commission that we're taking to a kind of a fish fight or fish food emission. And yeah, obviously, one thing is that we're also heavily involved in the developer community. Isaac and I are both governors for the Harmony Developer DAO, and so in some ways, it definitely feels like we have a leg up over other validators just at the amount of exposure and community involvement that we're with, and so we definitely want to kind of pay it forward, and really be around and be helpful. I think that sounds about it.
Yeah, I actually find it interesting how you brought up OpenSwap and how you guys feel like you have a leg up. Because essentially, this is something that I personally like to tell new validators coming into our ecosystem. The biggest thing that helps out of a new validator is the community engagement. Like, I mean, you know, how much are you investing into helping out your community? And if you're working on that consistently, eventually you start building trust, and then people will start to identify who you are. So in your guys' scenario, it's like, oh, they're not just a validator, they're here offering a service, and they're also going to be developing games, but not just one game, in the future, potentially even more games. And they're not just doing that, they're also developer DAO governors. So it's like you guys have a lot going for you guys, and it's just the love that you guys have for the Harmony ecosystem, and that in itself shines a really bright light to certain individuals. And it's something that it's hard to cast that image to new people coming in, but so I'm happy that we're having this interview, because maybe they can catch that light now, and hopefully that can help them on their journey. And it's not easy. It's really, really hard, but I do love seeing you guys' work and watching it flourish.
Oh, thanks, man.
Oh yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah,
we're excited.
Yeah, we're excited about Harmony. We're about really just making these kinds of things more mainstream, like allowing people to change how they think about their involvement with games, and really just I guess you could call it community or digital communities around the world. And yeah, we're equally as like inspired and amped by what's going on, and so it does feel like just lucky in some ways to be a part of it, and it feels like, you know, a couple of years from now we'll look back and really just feel grateful for being able to be a part of this really transformative concept. We'll see how it goes, and you know what happens with everyone and everything, but just to be boots on the ground and to be, you know, picking up shovels and axes, it feels like just really important.
Exciting to build, that's for sure. Shovels and axes, you need keyboards and mice though, right?
Sure.
That's where it starts, right? Right, so I think that's it for the questions that we've had for you guys. But Rob, do you have any other questions that you might like to ask them?
I mean, if you want to do any closing remarks, or if you want to say anything to your delegators or potential delegators, or
Yeah,
or
definitely.
new validators.
Well, let's start with the delegates that we have now. Just thank you, especially one particularly large delegate, but thank you to all of you for showing up, for all the way down to, you know, I think we have one delegating one right now, and really just, you know, we're not going anywhere. We you know, we're actively checking the validator, making sure everything's getting the best yield, and we're really hoping to build out our own project and prove and make examples of how other people can build out their project. And yeah, as far as future delegates, you know, I would just, you know, ask that you you stake with us, you imagine like that money will put to good use, and that will prove that to you. And also that you consider staking with other smaller delegates or validators. I think realistically, there's just an abundance of really dedicated people running validators that can't get off the ground for one reason or another. In some sense, maybe because like marketing is not their forte, and not working on projects, so they don't have like the ease of getting, but they're still running the validator just as well as anyone. And we definitely need more healthy validators. So anyone that's out there, if you're, I'm sure this is somewhat controversial, but if you're staking with someone with more than like 20 million, think about moving some of it away into someone that has less than 3 or 4, just so we can really balance things out and have this be one of the most sustainable, like decentralized proof of stake chains. And I think you said other validators. Oh yeah, so the people who might run validators are, I think, ultimately, yeah, back to that point of like, if you're running a project on Harmony, I would ask that you consider running a validator for the sake of the network, for yourself, for your project, for like the community that doesn't know who to validate with or stake with, and to Harmony at large, look us up. We're going to be launching FishFight this next week on mainnet in some capacity, and in continuing to work on and like polish it and build up more and more like graphical enhancements to the project, and really just make Harmony, prove out what like the possibilities of what Harmony can do. And so yeah, stick around, check us out, stay tuned. You can pretty much find us. TrustlessTeam is pretty easy to search right now, at least. And yeah, thanks for tuning in if you did. I don't know how you found out about this or hearing my voice if you didn't.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys coming on. Does Isaac want to say any closing thoughts?
Ed hit it well. Yeah, once we launch FishFight here, we'll have some fun with that. A lot of fun things the community can do and play the game together. So excited to see, and yep. Thanks for staying with us.
One more thing, we're also creating a Scribbles. I don't know if anyone knows or follows Scribbles NFT, but we're working with, basically we've taken over the project for the original developer. They are taking a break from crypto for a while, and we're big fans and friends with the original developer, and so we're going to be launching in the next probably month and a half a derivatives project around Scribbles, where you'll be able to actually, if you own a Scribble, you'll be able to breed it with any of the existing Scribbles and make little baby Scribbles. And so we think it'll be a cool way for people to kind of take the ideas of Scribbles around just like this really rudimentary generative art and turn it into something that's more interactive and more like able to be played with. And in some ways it's inspired by the way the breeding works on FishFight. So it was kind of just a natural transition of like, hey, we want to do this, do you mind? And he's like, yeah, that would be great. My life is in disarray right now. And so he's been involved. It's been going really smoothly, and we're excited to kind of share as that continues.
That's a lot of exciting stuff. So for me, I'm happy that you guys came on. It was a joy hearing you guys' story. And I love doing these series just because you get to hear where people are coming from and what they're planning to do, because there's like the validators are still kind of like a new concept, so you can kind of take them into different avenues, and just being able to like kind of direct your interoperability with the game, like it's so cool. So and I do like the fact that to see more projects do the same, launch their own validators, because it just helps the whole entire ecosystem in itself. But thanks you guys for coming on, and Rob, I'll let you do the closing thoughts.
Yes, thank you guys very much for coming on. Ed and Isaac, TrustlessTeam, FishFight. This is a Spotlight series, and we hope you like and share this video and subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you on the next one.